Let us begin by looking at the sky. If you stand on the surface of the Earth during a total solar eclipse, you witness one of the most dramatic events in the natural world. The day turns to night, the temperature drops, the birds stop singing. A black disk slides across the face of the sun, and for a few moments, the source of all life in our solar system seems to be extinguished. But ask yourself this: has the sun actually changed? Has its fire gone out? Has its fusion stopped? Of course not. The sun is raging with the same intensity it always has. The heat is there, the light is there, the gravity is there. The only thing that has changed is a small, cold object has moved into the line of sight. A small obstruction has created the illusion of darkness. This is the most accurate map we have for the human condition. We are living in a permanent spiritual eclipse. We look around and we see darkness. We see fear. We see a world of separate bodies fighting for survival. We see death. And we conclude that God must be dead, or absent, or cruel. But the darkness is not a property of reality. The darkness is a property of the obstruction. This obstruction is what we call the ego. We often make the mistake of thinking the ego is a thing. We treat it like a devil on our shoulder, a powerful adversary that we must fight and kill. But you cannot kill a shadow. You cannot destroy something that has no substance. The ego is not a creation. It is a belief. It is the belief that love is impossible. It is the belief that you can be separate from the whole. Consider the sheer scale of this error. We look at the cosmos, the swirling galaxies, the nebulae, the billions of years of cosmic history, and we think this is the real world. But what if I told you that the Big Bang itself, that primordial explosion that gave birth to time and space, was not the beginning of life, but the beginning of a delusion? The ego is the Big Bang. It is that tiny, mad idea that whispered, "I can exist apart from the infinite." And in that instant of belief, the singularity of truth seemed to shatter into a billion fragments. We call these fragments stars, planets, and people. We call this fragmentation time, but it is all just the debris of a perceptual error. It is literally a blind spot, a figment of imagination that has projected a universe to hide in. So when we ask, who created the ego, or how does God relate to the ego, we are asking a question that has no answer. Because God does not know about the ego. The sun does not know about the shadow cast by the moon. The sun only knows light. If God acknowledged the ego would be real. And if the ego were real, love would be destroyed. This is the great paradox that frustrates the intellectual mind. We want a theological explanation for why we suffer. We want to know how the impossible happened. How did we fall from grace? How did the perfect become imperfect? Jesus, in A Course in Miracles, gives an answer that is not an answer. He essentially says, it didn't happen. You are asking how the sleeping man traveled to the moon in his dream. He didn't travel anywhere. He is still in his bed. You are asking how the hallucination became real. It never became real. You are simply hallucinating. This is not a comfortable answer. It denies the validity of your pain. It denies the reality of your history. It denies the very ground you think you are standing on. But it is the only answer that offers true freedom. Because if the separation is real, you are doomed. But if the separation is a perceptual error, a cosmic mistake, then you can be healed. You can wake up. We are not here to study another theology. We are not here to build another conceptual system to explain the universe. We are here to dismantle the system we have already built. We are here to trigger an experience. The intellect will fight this. The ego will throw up 1,000 questions. But what about my body? What about the wars? What about the starving children? These questions are designed to keep you rooted in the dream. They are designed to make the error feel solid. The ego asks questions that have no answers, to prove that the impossible has occurred. But the spirit offers an experience that ends all questioning. Imagine you are in a dark room, fumbling for a light switch. You can analyze the darkness. You can measure the darkness. You can write poetry about the darkness. You can blame the darkness. But none of that will help you see. You do not need to understand the darkness, you simply need to turn on the light. This turning on is not an intellectual act. It is a shift in perception. It is a movement from the head to the heart. It is the willingness to admit that everything you think you know about the universe might be wrong. The ego claims that our suffering is an external problem. It says, I am depressed because of my chemical imbalance. I am angry because my partner betrayed me. I am anxious because the economy is crashing. It is always pointing the finger out there. It says, I am a victim of the world I see. But the spiritual master turns the finger around. He says, you have done this to yourself. This sounds harsh, but it is the ultimate empowerment. If the world is doing this to you, you are helpless. You are a leaf blowing in the wind of fate. But if you are doing this to yourself, if you are projecting this world from a distorted belief system, then you have the power to stop. You have the power to change the channel. The Course says, I have done this thing, and it is this I will undo. This is the moment of power. It is the moment you stop blaming the government, your parents, your ex-partner, or God, and you take radical responsibility for your own consciousness. You realize that the enemy is not out there. The enemy is a tiny, ancient belief in your own mind that says, I am alone. And this belief is what we are here to expose. We are not here to fix the dream. We are here to wake up from it. Let us look closely at the mechanism of this waking up. It is not a gentle addition to your current life. It is not a hobby you pick up on the weekends. It is, to borrow a phrase from the cinema, a vanilla sky moment. It is a total revolution of the mind. In many recovery circles, like Alcoholics Anonymous, the healing begins with a statement of identity and an admission of a problem. Hi, I'm John, and I'm an alcoholic. This admission breaks the denial. It brings the shadow into the light. In the community of spiritual awakening, we need a similar admission. Imagine a circle where we stand up and say, Hi, I'm David, and I have a perceptual problem. This is the honesty required. We have to stop pretending that we have money problems, or relationship problems, or health problems. Those are all camouflage. Those are all symptoms of the one underlying disease. We have a perception problem. We are seeing separation where there is only unity. We are seeing threat where there is only love. As long as you think your problem is your bank account, you will try to solve it with money. And you might get the money, but the anxiety will just shift to your health. Then you will try to solve the health problem with medicine. And you might get cured, but the fear will shift to your relationship. The ego plays a game of whack-a-mole. It keeps the problem moving so you never look at the source. The source is the lens through which you are looking. The source is the belief that you are a fragment, cut off from the whole. When we talk about unplugging from the ego, we're talking about pulling the plug on the entire machine. We are not talking about managing the ego. You cannot manage a cancer. You have to excise it. You cannot negotiate with the delusion. Many of us try to fit God into our schedules. We say, I have a very busy life, I have a career, I have kids. I can give God 20 minutes in the morning and maybe 10 minutes before bed. This is the bargaining stage. We want the peace of God, but we want to keep the thrill of the ego. We want to wake up, but we still want to play with the toys in the dream. But this approach does not work. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot hold on to the hand of the ego and the hand of God simultaneously, for they are walking in opposite directions. The revolution must be total. This does not mean you have to leave your job or your family. It does not mean you have to move to a cave in the Himalayas. It means the purpose of your life must change completely. Every interaction, every email, every meal, every drive to work becomes a classroom. The purpose is no longer to get something from the world. The purpose is to heal your perception of the world. When a trigger arises, and it will, you do not react to the person. You do not attack the messenger. You stop. You look at the anger rising in your gut, and you say, this anger is not caused by that person. This anger is a witness to a belief in my own mind that I have not yet looked at. The trigger is a gift. It is a red flashing light on the dashboard of your car telling you that the engine needs attention. If you smash the light, the car still breaks down. You have to look under the hood. We spoke of the St. Francis prayer. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. This concept of death frightens the ego. The ego thinks death means the end of existence. But in the spiritual sense, death is simply the end of the false self. You have to be willing to let the old you die. The you that defines itself by its history, its trauma, its achievements, its astrological sign, its political affiliation. All of that is the costume. All of that is the mask. Are you willing to take off the mask? Are you willing to be no one so that you can be everything? This is the terrifying invitation. It feels like a death because we have identified with the mask for so long. We think the mask is our face, but it is not. It is papier-mâché. It is painted on. When Suzanne said, "I could die," she was touching the edge of this transformation. To be born again requires the death of the past. You cannot drag your history into the holy instant. You cannot drag your grievances into heaven. They are too heavy. They do not fit through the gate. The ego will scream that this is a sacrifice. It will tell you that you are losing your identity. But you are only losing a hallucination. You are losing a burden. You are losing the weight of the world. And what replaces it? A lightness, a flow, a sense of being carried by a river that knows exactly where it is going. But you have to want it. You have to want it more than you want to be right. You have to want it more than you want to be a victim. You have to want it more than you want to be special. The ego thrives on specialness. It loves to be the most successful person in the room, and it loves to be the most tragic victim in the room. It doesn't care if it is on top or on bottom, as long as it is separate, as long as it is unique. Healing is the recognition of sameness. It is looking into the eyes of the stranger and seeing your own self. It is realizing that the mind that dreams the beggar is the same mind that dreams the king. This is the reinterpretation. This is the reorientation. We are turning the mind back to its source. The Course in Miracles is uncompromising on this. It says you will believe this course entirely or not at all. There is no middle ground. You cannot be a little bit pregnant with the truth. You are either hosting the ego or you are hosting the Holy Spirit. In every single moment, you are choosing one and denying the other. So how do we defeat this ego? How do we win this battle? Here is the secret. You do not fight. If you fight the ego, you make it real. If you struggle against your negative thoughts, you are validating them. You are saying, this darkness is a powerful monster that I must wrestle. And the ego loves a wrestling match. It loves the drama. It feeds on the conflict. Even if you think you are fighting for the light, the very act of fighting affirms the darkness. You defeat the ego by neglecting it. You defeat it by overlooking it. You defeat it by laughing at it. You look at the tantrum of the separate self and you say, I see you, I hear you, but I do not believe you. You withdraw your investment. It is like a vampire that needs your blood to survive. Your belief is the blood. Stop feeding it, and it withers. Stop protecting it, and it dissolves. Stop listening to it, and it goes silent. This is the meaning of the phrase, resist not evil. When you resist, you persist. When you accept the truth, the illusion fades. There was a moment in history that captured this sentiment perfectly. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, in a stroke of genius, rented billboards in major cities around the world. White background, bold black letters. They simply read, "War is over, if you want it." This is the essence of A Course in Miracles. This is the essence of the awakening. The war against yourself, the ancient, bitter conflict between who you think you are and who you really are, is over. It ended the moment it began, because it was never real. But you have to want it. The peace is already established. The sun is already shining behind the eclipse. The treaty has been signed, but you are still sitting in the trenches, clutching your rifle, shivering in the mud, waiting for an enemy that has already gone home. You can stay in the trench for another lifetime if you wish. You can stay for 1,000 lifetimes. God is patient. Eternity is not in a rush. But why would you? Why would you choose suffering when joy is available right now? The only thing keeping you in the trench is your own habit, your own addiction to the drama of war. We have become addicted to the adrenaline of our own problems. We define ourselves by our struggles. I am the survivor. I am the warrior. I am the one who suffers. To step out of the trench means to step into the unknown. It means dropping the identity of the soldier. It means standing up in the open field, defenseless. And this brings us to the concept of defenselessness. The ego believes that defenses are necessary for survival. It builds walls, it hoards resources, it attacks before it can be attacked. But the Course teaches a radical truth. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. When you have no walls, you have nothing to defend. When you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. You become transparent. And in that transparency, the light of God shines through you without obstruction. We are outgrowing the need for rigid structures. We are outgrowing the religions of the past, with their rituals and their dogmas and their angry gods. We are even outgrowing the techniques of the New Age. Eventually, you will even outgrow A Course in Miracles. The book itself is not the truth. The book is a ladder, it is a map. It is a curriculum designed to get you out of the maze. But once you are out of the maze, you do not carry the map with you. You drop it. The theology is necessary for a time. We need the concepts to correct the concepts. We need the idea of the Holy Spirit to correct the idea of the ego. We need the thorn to remove the thorn, as the Buddhists say. But when the work is done, you throw both thorns away. Think of the Course like a trampoline. You get on it and you start to bounce. The lessons, the reading, the study groups, this is the bouncing. It generates energy. It gets you moving. But the point of a trampoline is not to bounce forever. The point is to build enough momentum to launch yourself into the air, to take the leap. You are meant to fly. You are meant to leave the gravity of the ego behind entirely. You are meant to soar into the direct experience of God. And in that experience, there are no words, there are no pages, there are no teachers and no students. There is only the singular, vibrating presence of love. So do not get stuck on the trampoline. Do not worship the trampoline. Use it. Use the lessons to train your mind. Use the forgiveness to clear your vision. And then, when the moment comes, and it will come, let go. Let go of the need to understand. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the need to be right. Fall back into the arms of the universe. It has been waiting to catch you since the beginning of time. In fact, it has been holding you all along. You were just dreaming that you were falling. The eclipse is passing. The shadow is moving on. The birds are beginning to sing again. Can you feel the warmth returning? Can you see the light breaking through the cracks in your mind? The perceptual problem is being solved, not by logic, but by love. Admit it today. Whisper it to yourself, I have been mistaken about everything. I have been blind. And in that humble admission, your eyes will open. The Big Bang is reversed. The fragments rush back together. The explosion implodes into a singularity of peace. And you realize, with a laugh that shakes the foundations of the earth, that you never left home. You were just having a very strange, very vivid dream. The war is over.